United Nations records 20 Israeli aggression cases towards peacekeepers. North Korea fires long-range ballistic missile into East Coast Sea. Thanks for joining me, Renee Fong, on World Today. His Majesty Sultan Ibrahim, King of Malaysia, and Her Majesty Raja Zarif Sofia, Queen of Malaysia, extended their Deepavali greetings today to Hindus in the country. Their Majesties conveyed their wish through a post on the Sultan Ibrahim Sultan Iskandar Facebook page. The post read, "May the light of Deepavali fill your life with joy, prosperity and happiness. Wishing you and your loved ones a bright and blessed Deepavali." Deepavali, the Festival of Lights, is celebrated by Hindus nationwide today.
Saudara-saudari, ini yang Deepavali na Batukal. Bagi seluruh jentera kerajaan dan rakyat, saya ucapkan kepada semua penganut Hindu di Malaysia, selamat menyambut hari kebesaran Deepavali. Hari ini menanda dari sudut sejarahnya dan pengajaran ialah kemenangan dari kezaliman, kegelapan kepada cahaya, kebenaran dan keadilan. Mudah-mudahan kita sambut dengan meriah di kalangan rakyat Malaysia dari berbagai kaum, berbagai agama, sama-sama sambut kemeriahan dan kegembiraan. Terima kasih. Nandri.
Selamat menyambut Deepavali. Semoga cahaya perayaan ini menyinarkan kegembiraan, kedamaian dan keharmonian untuk semua warga Malaysia Madani. Deepavali non-vertical kepada semua penganut agama Hindu. Dari saya, Zahid Hamidi.
Israel on Wednesday began heavy airstrikes on the historic city of Baalbek in Lebanon as United States mediators work on a proposal to halt hostilities between Israel and Lebanese group Hezbollah. Sources said that the proposal would start with a 60-day ceasefire. State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller commented on Israel's latest actions, describing a clear desire for a lasting ceasefire between the two parties.
We have made clear that the campaign they're conducting in Lebanon should not, cannot, must not look like the campaign that they have conducted in Gaza. We do ultimately want to see a ceasefire, and we want to see a diplomatic resolution that allows civilians both in Lebanon and Israel return to their homes.
The sources also say a possible 2-month ceasefire period would be used to finalize full implementation of UN Security Council Resolution 1701. It was adopted to try and end an earlier 2006 war between Israel and Hezbollah and to help keep southern Lebanon free of weapons or forces outside control of Lebanon's government. However, it was never fully enforced and has sparked friction with Hezbollah as the group effectively controls that area. Lebanon's Prime Minister expressed hope that a ceasefire deal with Israel would be announced within days as Israel's public broadcaster published what it said was a draft agreement of a truce. Meanwhile, the UN peacekeeping mission in Lebanon recorded more than 30 incidents resulting in property damage or injury to peacekeepers, about 20 of them from Israeli fire or action. Andrea Tenenti, a spokesperson for the force known as UNIFIL, said of the 20 incidents attributed to IDF fire or actions, about 7 being clearly deliberate.
At this point, of course, we are concerned about all the attacks against peacekeepers and the continued shelling that we see from both sides. We continue to remain in our positions. We remain in the south of Lebanon, monitoring the situation and reporting to the Security Council.
The conflict between Israel and Hezbollah has intensified in recent weeks, with Israel bombing southern Lebanon, Beirut's southern suburbs and the Bekaa Valley, killing many of Hezbollah's top leaders and sending ground troops across the border. Hezbollah, for its part, has fired rockets deeper into Israel, and according to Beirut authorities, more than 2,700 people have been killed in Lebanon and 1.2 million were displaced. The Gaza-based health authority said in a statement on Wednesday the Palestinian death toll from the ongoing Israeli military operations in the Gaza Strip has risen to 43,163. In the past 24 hours, Israeli military operations in Gaza killed 102 people and wounded 287 others, bringing the total number of injuries to 101,510. And according to Palestinian media, the Israeli army has recently relaunched a blockade on northern Gaza. The troops continued to attack Beit Lahia in Gaza City on Wednesday. The Beit Lahia municipality declared the city in northern Gaza a disaster area due to ongoing Israeli attacks. And on Tuesday, an Israeli airstrike on a building in the city killed over 110 people and injured dozens. The Jabalia refugee camp in northern Gaza and the Al-Maghazi refugee camp in central Gaza were also attacked on the same day. Russia's UN ambassador Vasily Nebenzia told the Security Council on Wednesday Russia's military interaction with North Korea does not violate international law.
В вопросах сотрудничества с Пхеньяном наша позиция абсолютно честна и открыта. КНДР – наш добрый сосед и близкий партнер, с которым мы развиваем отношения во многих областях. Наше взаимодействие носит транспарентный характер. В его рамках проводятся визиты, заключаются международные договоры, подписываются коммерческие контракты в различных областях двустороннего взаимодействия. Это наше суверенное право. Хотел бы подчеркнуть, что российское взаимодействие с КНДР и в военной и в других сферах соответствует международному праву и не нарушает его. Оно не направлено против третьих стран и не представляет никакой угрозы для государств региона или международного сообщества. Мы намерены развивать это сотрудничество и впредь, и никто не может нам это запретить.
In response, Ukraine's ambassador to the United Nations, Sergei Kislitsia, said that North Korea sending troops to support Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine is a violation of international law.
It goes without saying that sending the DPRK troops to support Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine is a flagrant violation of international law. Moreover, training by the Russian Federation of DPRK regular units constitutes a violation of Security Council resolutions 1718, 1874, and 2270. In turn, DPRK soldiers providing or receiving any training or other assistance related to use of arms, including ballistic missiles, is also a violation of the mentioned Council's resolutions.
On Wednesday, U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin stated some 10,000 North Korean forces have already been deployed to eastern Russia, wearing Russian uniforms and carrying Russian equipment. Still in North Korea, where it fired a long-range ballistic missile into the sea off its east coast on Thursday, South Korea and Japan said a day after Seoul reported the North was making preparations to test launch an intercontinental ballistic missile. The Joint Chiefs said in a statement the launch at a sharply raised angle was from an area near the North capital, Pyongyang, at 7:10 a.m. local time. Earlier, the Japanese government said the missile was expected to land about 300 kilometers, 190 miles west of its Okushiri Island off its northern Hokkaido region, outside its exclusive economic zone and towards the Russian coast. Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba later said there had been no reported damage from the launch. On Wednesday, South Korea's Defense Intelligence Command said the North had placed a mobile launcher at a location, making preparation to launch what could be an intercontinental ballistic missiles ICBM. The North last test launched an ICBM in December last year, a projectile fueled by solid propellant and fired from a road launcher. The United States and South Korea's Army Aviation Unit staged a joint live fire drill on Wednesday to demonstrate their commitment to maintaining a strong defensive posture amid tensions on the Korean Peninsula. The exercise conducted by the 2nd Combat Aviation Brigade and 2nd Infantry Division of Republic of Korea U.S. Combined Division took place at the Rodriguez Live Fire Complex in Pocheon, north of Seoul, less than 30 kilometers from the heavily fortified border with North Korea. United States Lieutenant Colonel Silver Bryan said one of the main objectives of the exercise is to test the combat readiness not only of U.S. aviation but also the Republic of Korea's aviation and how well they can perform together. This came as Seoul and Washington have said North Korea has sent troops to Russia for possible deployment in Ukraine, which could mean a significant escalation in their conflict. Pyongyang, however, insisted on Friday that any move to send its troops to support Russia would be in line with international law. British Finance Minister Rachel Reeves delivered Britain's most consequential budget in a decade on Wednesday. Analysts say although the budget promised to spare working people and did not include rises in VAT or income taxes, the general public could still feel the impact of tax hikes on businesses. Reeves said she would raise taxes by £40 billion a year, blaming the Conservatives for leaving her Labour Party with a budget black hole. Businesses and the wealthy were set to bear the brunt of the tax hikes, and Reeves also paved the way for higher borrowing for investment to speed up Britain's economy, which has been slowed by global financial crisis, Brexit, COVID, and soaring energy prices. The former Bank of England economist stressed there would be no repeat of how former Conservative Prime Minister Liz Truss sent the bond market into a tailspin in 2022 with her unfunded tax cut plans. Initial reaction to her speech suggested investors were unfazed by the Labour Party's first economic programme. And according to the Institute for Fiscal Studies think tank, tax hikes of £40 billion would be equivalent to 1.25% of economic output, surpassed in recent history only in 1993 by a budget plan under the Conservatives. Still on, Britain has detected its first case of new Mpox variant clade IB. The country's health security agency, UKHSA, confirmed the matter on Wednesday, adding that the risk to the population remained low. The clade IB variant is a new form of the virus that was declared a global health emergency by the World Health Organization (WHO) in August after an outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo spread to neighboring countries in Africa. The case in a patient who had recently traveled to affected countries in Africa was detected in London, and the individual has been transferred to a specialist hospital. There have been cases of Mpox clade IB reported in Burundi, Rwanda, Uganda, Kenya, Sweden, India and Germany, as well as Congo. It is a different form of the virus from clade 2, which spread globally in 2022. Mpox is a viral infection that typically causes flu-like symptoms and pus-filled lesions and is usually mild but can kill. Clade IB is thought to cause more severe disease than Clade 2, even though both forms are similar in which it can be transmitted through close physical contact. And according to the latest WHO figures, there have been more than 44,000 confirmed and suspected cases of Mpox in Africa this year, and more than 1,000 deaths, largely in Congo. Donald Trump pulled yet another election stunt with a garbage truck on Wednesday as the United States presidential campaign was forced off track by muddled remarks from President Joe Biden about the Republican supporters that caused a headache for Democratic candidate Kamala Harris. Harris found herself instead having to disavow Biden's remark that appeared to label Trump supporters garbage. Ever the showman, Trump was on hand to exploit the misstep with a photo op, climbing into the cabin of a garbage truck bearing his slogan, "Make America Great Again."
250 million people are not garbage. I can tell you who the real garbage is, but we won't say that.
Harris traveled to North Carolina and onward to Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, focusing again on 3 of 7 battleground states that could determine who wins the closest election in modern U.S. history. Trump was also in North Carolina on Wednesday in the town of Rocky Mount before he headed to Wisconsin. More than 57 million have already cast their ballots via early or mail-in voting, over a third of the 2020 total. Steel plant explosion leaves 12 dead in central Mexico. That's coming up. President Javier Milei on Wednesday replaced Foreign Affairs Minister Diana Mondino after the country voted in favor of lifting the embargo against Cuba at the United Nations. In a statement, the Argentine government said the country categorically opposes the Cuban dictatorship, adding career staff of the foreign ministry will be audited to identify promoters of enemies of liberty agendas. Gerardo Wertheim, who has been serving as Argentina's ambassador to the United States, will replace Mondino as the country's foreign minister. Mondino, one of Milei's first confirmed cabinet members, has played a key role in keeping diplomatic relations smooth with international partners, despite at times incendiary comments from the president about countries like Brazil and China. And earlier on Wednesday, the UN General Assembly overwhelmingly called on the U.S. to end its decades-long sanctions regime on Cuba, is a non-binding resolution opposed only by the U.S. and Israel. The Bolivian government is considering military intervention to remove blockades set up by supporters of former President Evo Morales, a local official said on Wednesday. Government Minister Eduardo del Castillo said that the administration was open to seeking help from the armed forces to address the protests and blockades that have been ongoing in the Andean nation for the past week.
No descartamos ningún tipo de intervención que pueda realizar la policía boliviana, porque hemos visto que estos últimos días la policía boliviana está en una lucha desproporcional. Esa gente está utilizando armas de fuego, esa gente está utilizando bombas molotov, esa gente está utilizando una serie de armamento letal en contra de la vida y la integridad de los efectivos del orden en nuestro país. Por tanto, si tenemos la imperiosa necesidad de solicitar el acompañamiento, el requerir el acompañamiento de las fuerzas de nuestro país, de las Fuerzas Armadas de nuestro país, lo vamos a hacer. Ya no podemos estar sometidos por una persona que lo único que busca es impunidad en Bolivia, que anda disparando como si estuviera en el lejano oeste a la policía boliviana, como si estuviese en un cartel de drogas.
The protests have disrupted key supply routes, causing significant economic losses. Demonstrators, mainly supporters of Morales, have sustained blockades in Santa Cruz for over a week, demanding an end to an ongoing investigation into allegations that Morales abused a minor during his presidency. An explosion at a CIMEC-owned steel plant in Mexico Central, Tlaxcala State in the early hours of Wednesday killed at least 12 people. The firm said in a statement a liquid steel spill occurred at the plant of the steel complex located in the city of Apizaco, Tlaxcala, causing a blast that resulted in the loss of human lives, temporarily paralyzing operations. CIMEC said it is investigating what caused the accident. The State Civil Protection Office said in a social media post that the blast was likely caused after smelting apparatus collapsed. Those killed were workers at the plant, with one person hospitalized in critical condition, the office added. Authorities say they are investigating what caused the incident. Molten steel, when it comes into contact with water, causes an explosion, which is highly speculated to be the cause. Mexico is the second largest steel producer in Latin America and 13th largest in the world, as they also consume a large amount of steel. Over to Taiwan. Taiwan has issued a land warning on Wednesday as it expected Super Typhoon Kong-Ray to make landfall on Thursday along its sparsely populated east coast, bringing heavy rain and strong winds across a swath of the island. Packing gusts of nearly 300 kilometers per hour, the storm has strengthened into a super typhoon and is expected to further intensify before hitting Taitung County, according to the United States Navy's Joint Typhoon Warning Center. And according to the administration, up to 1.2 meters of rainfall is expected in mountainous eastern Taiwan, and destructive winds are likely to hit coastal areas later today. Taiwan's weather administration categorized Kong-Ray in the most powerful storm level for Taiwan, adding it would be the biggest typhoon in size to hit the island since 1996. Central Weather Administration forecaster Stan Chang said it was relatively rare for a strong typhoon to directly hit Taiwan this late in the year. His observation was made pointing to the still favorable environment for typhoons, including warmer sea temperatures in the Pacific and later than normal cold fronts from the north. Planes, trains, trucks and taxis ground to a halt in Argentina on Wednesday in a major one-day strike over President Javier Milei's austerity policies. The unions called the protest over Milei's plans to privatize national flag carrier Aerolíneas Argentinas and to denounce spiraling poverty levels since he took office late last year. Over 1 million passengers were affected by the industrial action, which saw over 1,800 trains cancelled. Aerolíneas Argentina said that 263 flights had been affected, impacting around 27,700 passengers. Metro drivers in Buenos Aires and ferry operators also took part in the strike, which saw activists block roads in parts of the country and some public sector workers also walk off the job. Milei, in his plan to slash public spending, has cut energy and transport subsidies and thousands of public sector jobs. His policies have produced Argentina's first budget surplus in 15 years, but have also been blamed for plunging the country into a deep recession and driving the proportion of Argentines living in poverty up 11 points in 6 months to 52.9%. And while inflation has slowed in recent months, it remains stubbornly high. Yearly inflation stood at 209% in September. Still to come in sports. Winning start for Van Nistelrooy as Man United beat Leicester in League Cup. Ruud van Nistelrooy enjoyed a winning start as interim Manchester United manager by beating Leicester 5-2 to reach the League Cup quarter-finals as Manchester City crashed out 2-1 to Tottenham. Arsenal and Liverpool were among the other sides to book their place in the last 8, but Chelsea were beaten 2-0 at Newcastle. A United legend as a player, Van Nistelrooy was thrust into the role of caretaker boss after the Red Devils sacked Erik ten Hag on Monday, following a dreadful start to the season. The Dutchman said before the game that United can be unstoppable when players, staff and supporters pull together, and they cut loose by scoring 4 times in a thrilling first 45 minutes. Casemiro's stunning effort into the top corner opened the scoring before Alejandro Garnacho swept home Diogo Dalot's cross to please a jubilant Van Nistelrooy on the touchline. Bilal El Khanous quickly pulled a goal back for the much-changed Foxes, and Bruno Fernandes's deflected free kick restored United's 2-goal cushion before Casemiro slammed home his 3rd goal in 2 games. Corner Cody grabbed another consolation for Leicester, but United were not to be denied just a second win in 9 games. Fernandes rounded off the scoring when he pounced on a short back pass to round Danny Ward and fire home. Meanwhile, United's reward is a trip to Tottenham in the last 8 after they eliminated a City side without Erling Haaland. Timo Werner slotted home his first goal since March from Dejan Kulusevski's inviting cross to open the scoring. Pape Sarr's long-range strike doubled Spurs' lead before Matheus Nunes got an injury hit City back into the tie in first half stoppage time. But they could not find an equalizer, and Pep Guardiola showed where his priorities lie as Haaland remained on the bench for the full 90 minutes. Elsewhere, Cody Gakpo was the match winner for Liverpool in a 3-2 win at Brighton to continue Arne Slot's excellent start to life with the Reds. Gakpo now has 4 goals in 2 League Cup games. The Dutch international was ruthless with 2 powerful finishes cutting inside onto his right foot from the left wing. Luis Diaz was also on target for Liverpool, while Simon Adingra and Tariq Lamptey struck late on for Brighton. Liverpool are away to Southampton in December's quarterfinals. And that wraps up World Today this time around. And in our top story, United Nations records 20 Israeli aggression cases towards peacekeepers. I'm Renee Fong. On behalf of the RTM English desk, would like to wish a happy Deepavali to all who are celebrating out there. Malaysia Madani. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Thanks for watching and have a pleasant afternoon.